Good evening, ladies, dadas, wherever you are. Welcome to KBC Channel 1. This is your reality women's talk show, Dadas. Welcome, Karibu. Today we want to talk about a very sensitive topic. We want to talk about when marriage goes rogue and the legal repercussions of a separation and a divorce. And what does that mean? And we just want to unpack what it means. If your marriage goes bad, what can you do? What is legally correct? How will it affect you? What will be its impact on you and your family? So to begin, as we always do, we begin our stories with a real life experience. Today I want to welcome Joan Alusea.
Yes.
Joan, karibu sana.
Asante.
Welcome to Dadas.
Asante.
You are being watched all over Kenya. I'm told we are now watched in East Africa.
Oh, yes.
So
Thank
you're
you.
very welcome.
Thank
We
you.
want you to share your experience with the Dadas out there.
Oh, yes.
How is it how did you get married? How did you come to Nairobi, meet a young man and get married? Because I'm sure that's how it happened.
Yes.
How did it happen?
Okay. I grew up in the village, in a rural home in Western. And out of that, after my Form 4, I was looking for a job and I didn't get a job. So I decided to come to Nairobi to look for a job. Then as I was in Nairobi doing my normal businesses, by those days I was selling groundnuts and I was also doing the ndimu. Ndimu is a lemon. Mm-hmm. We pack lemons and we sell them. And during that time I had to dedicate myself to Christ. I came and I was a church goer.
So you came to Nairobi, you had a small business,
yes,
you entered a church community,
yes,
you were busy serving God, you were minding your own business.
Yes, yes.
How did this ndugu come upon you?
There is a day we were in Kesha. We had gone for a night vigil and we were praying. And before we started the prayers, this young man traced me and he called me to where he was. He was seated on one of the benches and he asked me about my names, where I come from, what I do for life. And out of that we finished the Kesha. But later on, as we had finished the Kesha, on the way as I was going back home, I met this young man on the roads. And then he reminded me that he was the one who talked to me on Kesha. So that is how we started knowing each other and having a talk with each other.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, you are so formal. Knowing each other, having a talk with each other, not dating. Anyway, so you formalized things in 2003. Mm-hmm. Did you go home to the Wazazis? Then what, did you have a church wedding? What happened?
We went, talked to the parents. Then later on we came and we had our wedding in church. And after having our wedding, we started living together.
Okay.
Yes.
And you were blessed with children?
We were blessed with the children.
Yes.
2 girls and 1 boy.
Wow.
And the firstborn is now 16 years in Form 3. And then I have the second one who is 10 years. And the third one is 7 years.
So things were going well?
Yeah.
You can say things were going well?
Things were going well for the first few months of marriage.
Okay.
And then we started having a commotion. There were conflicts all over. But because I was brought up in church, one, I knew divorce was not my portion. And I didn't want divorce. So even when things were not working, I had to strive and make sure that things should work out.
Okay. Can I go back a bit? According to you or according to the church,
yes,
you are not allowed to divorce.
Yes,
divorce is not something that is discussed.
It is not.
Marriage is for life.
Yes, yes.
And therefore, whatever is happening within your marriage,
yes,
you just have to persevere.
Yes, yes.
And number 2, I think you also had shared with me before, this man was a pastor.
Yes, yes.
So according to the way things were going, you did not feel that you had the authority to leave.
Yes, yes, yes.
What was actually happening in the marriage?
Okay, sometimes it could be good, sometimes it could be bad, sometimes chaos. And I remember there were several times that I had to pack and go. There is a time I was sent from house at night. I went and slept with my relative in Korogocho. I came back again and thought things would cool down. We stayed for some time again. The same case came again, and I had to go to his own parents. I stayed there for 1 week after being hit. And then after that, he called the mother and told the mother that I was not married to the mother, I was married to him. So I should come back to Nairobi. Then I came back to Nairobi again. We stayed for some time. It took us some years again. Then later on again, due to misunderstandings again, I had again to go back to my parents. And when I went to the parents, he had to make sure that he talks to the parents and tells the parents that he is not going to hit me again. And he promised that he will not hit me again. We came back from there and came back to Nairobi, and we started living again. But the worst came in the year 2014, when it was just too much that I could not swallow it anymore.
What happened?
In the year 2014.
So now you've been married 11 years?
Yes.
Okay.
In the year 2014, during that time, I had come from work, and I was very tired. And I came back to the house, and did my normal cleaning in the house, made sure that everything was okay. And I had bought liquid soap to mix it during the night when the children, when I had served the children. So when I mixed the liquid, the foam was too much, so I had to wait. So on that day, because I was very tired, I fell asleep on the couch. And he went, slept in the bedroom, and came back. And because I had put my phone on the table, I took the phone, pressed it to check what was the time. That was a mistake I did. He saw me and he said that I was chatting on phone at night while he is asleep. So I finished everything, went to the bathroom and bathed, went to the bedroom and slept. That is where the problem began. He said that before that, I went to the shop, bought food. When I went to the shop, I took some time because I had 1,000 shillings, which the shopkeeper didn't have the change. So the shopkeeper went round looking for change. So it took me some few minutes before coming back.
So according to him, there was something.
Yes,
you were
there
being
was
fishy.
something. Yes, there was something.
Fishy.
He was suspecting that maybe I had a relationship out there.
So what happened? How did he respond?
He kept quiet until when I was on bed, and when I was on bed, he woke me up. After waking me up, he told me I was chatting on the phone while he is asleep. The second thing, I have to tell him the people that I was discussing with while I was out, when I had gone to pick food, to pick the flour that I had gone to the shop. So during that time, I tried to explain to him. In fact, I was not explaining. I told him, kuja pole pole, meaning come slowly. So in that process, he saw that it's like I'm answering him in a way that is not supposed to be answered. Oh. So he woke up, and one of the mistakes he did, he switched on the lights, and after switching on the light, I saw him carrying scissors. And it's like he wanted to stab me. I yelled on my loudest voice. And when I yelled on the loudest voice for him to calm me down so that I should not yell, it's when he picked me from the bed and started hitting my head on the wall. I was seriously injured. I slept in that house. In fact, I slept my daughter was inside the house. So she's the one who came to my rescue. She knocked at the door, and the man had to open the door. And when he opened the door, there was some commotion because the man wanted the girl to go and sleep. But the girl kept on saying, no, I'm not going to sleep. My mom will not be killed while I'm here. So in that process of the commotion, my daughter told me by using sign that I go back and lock the door. I sensed that is what she was, because she did this and then told
So
me.
you locked the bedroom
So
door with yourself inside?
Yes, so I locked myself inside. But I was totally injured. So when it came to the following day, I was swollen all over. My face, my ears, I was swollen. So my brother heard of it, and he called me and told me that I see him. And when I went to see my brother told me, you cannot sleep in the house the way you look. I have to take you to the hospital. So I did some communication. Some of my friends sent me some money, and some of them recommended me to go and to go to the hospital. In fact, one of them was our sister Diana Kamande. I called her, and she referred me to a certain doctor. So the doctor took care of me, and the doctor treated me, and they found out that my mandible jawbone had been broken.
Oh no.
So, and because I was in a lot of pain, I had to go through counseling. I couldn't eat. In fact, the nurses at Nairobi Women's Hospital, they had to feed me, encourage me to do everything. And it was just too hard on me. And expressing it and telling it to people, it wasn't very easy.
Is that when you've made the final decision now that the marriage is over?
I came back from the hospital. And you see, when I was in hospital, there were bandages all over because I was induced with I was too dehydrated. So during that time, I went back, and because I was very tired, sleeping on the bed all throughout and everything, I came to the house, knocked at the door, and sat on the couch. And when I sat on the couch, he asked me, in fact, on a harsh tone, why did you allow me to do this to you? And that thing triggered me so much, and it was so painful to me. I cried bitterly.
So he blamed you for beating
Yes,
you, for beating
yes.
you. It was your fault that you got
Yes.
beaten. Okay.
So it was too painful on me. And then a mind came to me. You want to sleep in the same house. And every scene that had happened on that very night came back to me.
It replayed.
It replayed again. That is how I stood and walked out of the door without telling anybody where I was going. So there is a certain lady within that community. She had a house, and the house was vacant. She told me, for you to cool down, just sleep in this house first as you rethink if you will go back to the marriage or not. So the lady gave me the room. I started sleeping on the floor. One of our church members gave me a bed sheet to sleep on. So I slept on that bed sheet. Though I was in a jacket, the jacket that I was with in the hospital, that is what I used to cover myself at night. And then I slept there for some time. Later on, the one who stood as our best couple called me and told me to go to and see him. So when I went there, we discussed, and the man came. The man came, and we talked. Then, because of the pain that I had, they asked me what was my decision. I told them. They give me some time to rethink again, and we agreed to take 1 year. So within
1 year to
yes,
to think
everybody to think if they are for the marriage. And later on, we found out that the man had married.
Within the year?
Yes, within that 1 year. So
you had taken time to separate for 1 year?
Yes.
I wanted to ask you about the legal documents. So while you were rethinking, I'm sure you started thinking about the legal documents of your marriage. You had married in church. What were you able to find out? Because now I'm sure when he remarried, you started thinking, what is going to be my fate? What did you find out about your legal documents?
Okay, I went to Sharia House. And when I went to Sharia House, we checked for the documents to see if I was married. Again, it was the second time I was doing it. I thought the first time, the one that I was dealing with was not the right person, but this one I was.
So you went the first time to check, and you were not able to get any.
Yes, we were not able to get any document.
So you went the second time?
Yes, now I went the second time, and we had to do thorough checking. And when we checked twice, and we found out that there was no document supporting that marriage.
You were not married?
Yes, then it was like I was not married.
How did that make you feel?
I felt so bad because after working for those years, knowing that now you are part of the family and everything, the investment, you are doing everything knowing that now you are part of that family, and then ending up finding yourself that you are not part of the family.
in those days, I need to explain this to our viewers. And as I explained
Yes,
to you,
yes.
in those days, you got married, you were given, I think, a notification of
Yes,
marriage,
we were
and
given.
you paid the church,
Yes.
and they were the ones who then took the certificate or the notification and got you a marriage certificate. That's very different from nowadays. So the person who married you, what did they tell you when you asked them, where is our certificate of marriage?
I didn't go back to them to ask about it.
Why? Did you have the sheet that says that you had conducted a wedding ceremony?
No, I didn't have any sheet. In fact, I didn't have any supportive document, because all the documents, the day I left the house, I left all the documents in that house.
You had no documents?
I had no document with me. I left everything totally. I didn't carry anything. So there was nothing that I could go with to prove that now this the marriage. What I went with was only my ID card.
You left your marriage with only an identification card?
Yes, an identification card. Because that is what I also, I had to use it in the hospital where I was.
Okay. So how were you able to get your children? Because you did get your children. Was it when you went to talk to when you decided to take 1 year to cool off? Is that how you ended up with the children?
No. There is a day. There is a day that I have a project, a school, and then he claimed that the school was his. And when he claimed that the school was his, I was taken to Nyayo House, and when I was taken to Nyayo House, we had to go and check if he was the rightful owner of the school. So during that time, after the talk with the people at Nyayo House, and they found out that I was the one who was always there in the school, they told him they have realized that what we are dealing with, it was not about the project that we had. It was about our marital affairs. So the people there counseled us, and they told us to go back as a married couple. We solve our marital issues first. So while we were in that process, he decided to go to the children's welfare department at Kasarani, and I was handed a letter. Then I went to check on them, and we had a talk with them, because he was the one who was still having the children. So when we had a talk and we discussed about everything, they realized that my son was below 3 years, and they said that he has a right to have me as a mother, and I should access the child. So when I went to go and assess them, that is when he told me, he is the one who told me to pick the children and go with them where I was. In fact, we were still on the way going home, going to my place. That is when he said, I pick the children and go with them. So I went to the house, picked the children with their uniforms, and I started living with my children where I was. In fact, when we started, the life was so humble. I didn't have enough mattresses, I didn't have enough cups, nothing for them. But we had to start sleep on the floor with them as I progressed little by little, buying each and everything that was required for the house.
Joan, let me ask you,
yes,
what do you consider your legal marital status today? When the people of the census came to your home, what did you tell them?
I told them I was single. I told them I'm single.
So you are just single?
Yes, I am single. I couldn't say there was nothing that I could support with. It was not customary, because when we were in the process of going for the customary marriage, that is when things didn't work out very well.
Do you feel conned?
Yeah, to some extent, because I'm imagining living all those years and you working for something that is not productive. And everyone would wish to do something and get profit out of what they are doing. But to me, it's like it was a loss, going back down to nothing.
Okay, now it has been 5 years later. Thankfully, as you were saying, you were not married, so you did not have then to go through the legal divorce.
Yes.
However, now that you are now free again, would you remarry?
Yeah, I would remarry.
I just find women so crazy. After that, you would still remarry?
But still, there are good men outside here. I don't see if there are those who are still good. Not everyone is bad. Okay, to me, I regret not following my first pastor's counsel, because for them, they were not for the marriage.
Okay, what did they tell you? What did the pastor say that when they met this man?
When we were planning for our marriage, they called him, talked in the office. I don't know what they talked. I don't know how they reached the conclusion, but I remember them saying that man would not match the way they have known me and the way I have grown.
But you were madly in love.
Yes, I was a young girl waiting to be married eagerly. And then because of the life that I was living, one, I was alone, and you don't have a job, you don't have anybody to encourage you. I came to Nairobi and it was like I didn't know anybody. The people that I could cling to were the church members. So I needed somebody who would give me company and talk to. You can discuss your personal
You needed
issues.
a companion.
Yes,
you were very lonely.
Yes,
and you were in a strange land.
Yes.
You were surrounded by people you didn't know. You were probably struggling with with just it was too much.
Yes.
So when this man, he seemed like a knight in shining armor. When he came into your life, you quickly accepted. Yes, let's do this.
Yes.
Okay, I think. Looking at your story, I think for me the shocking bit is that you can even rethink remarriage again. Why is that a consideration in your life? Is it that you are a very hopeful person, or is it that you are considering, and what would you do differently now to make sure you succeed?
Okay, sometimes I follow the Bible. The Bible sometimes says there is always still hope for a cut tree. It can still bud up again. And I don't want to say that I have lost hope. I'm still hopeful because one, I'm still young. And secondly, I can't say it is too late. My years, I'm still young. I have children also who would wish to have that fatherly environment where they can see somebody, a father figure in their lives, so that he may counsel with them, talk to them, sometimes when they are in need, or they need somebody who is a man to talk to.
Emotionally, is it very distressing to be separated or to be divorced?
Yes, it is. In fact, it is not a good thing. It is not something that I would encourage somebody to go for it. Because one, when you go through that, immediately your friends realizes that you are now divorced. They separate from you.
You suffer stigma.
Yes, you suffer stigma. In fact, I went through a lot of stigma. The friends that we used to pray with, they were not for me. There was nobody who could want to associate with me. One, I was a failure. I was a person who had broken the church rules and even the biblical rules by separating. Because most of them that could come to talk to me, they would say, a wise woman builds her own house. So I was a fool to break that marriage. It wasn't easy for me. Men could tell their wives not to talk to me or to walk with me. Some of my friends saw that I was a failure. I couldn't ask anybody for anything. My financial status also went down. It wasn't the way it was at the beginning. So it was not very easy for me. And even to tell the children that now, from today, you will no longer see your father, or now we will not come back as a mother and a father. It wasn't easy for them. In fact, my daughter dropped, she used to get a B, and she dropped to a D. I had to change her from the school. It wasn't very easy. You walk on the roads everywhere, nobody wants to associate with you. Everybody was pointing fingers, including the pastors. I only thank God because only around 2 pastors accepted me. Pastor Mishira, who is the Deliverance Church pastor, is the one who tried to mentor me and bring me back to who I was from the original. And then the one who was the best couple, Pastor Dismas Onjula. He is the one who has walked with me all along. And when he does not see me, he could call me. And sometimes when I'm not around, he would say I go and visit them in the house. And because of that, they even supported me with food. They supported me with everything that I was in need of. And they gave it to me.
Joan, I'm told we've run out of time for this part of the show. Thank you so much. You've been so honest.
Thank you.
Bad things happen when marriages go bad.
Yes.
Very bad things happen.
It's true.
Thank you, Joan. We'll be back with some experts to just unpack this a little more. Don't go too far. Welcome back, Dadas. Today we've been talking about what happens when marriage goes bad, separation and eventual divorce, and the repercussions of that. Marriage gone bad is not just a psychological issue, it's also a very legal issue. So we're joined now by Jackie, our resident lawyer, and Lily, our resident counselor. Karibuni, ladies. I wanted to start with you, Jackie. You're the one who normally has big words. Tell us, when you move from being married to becoming separated and then becoming divorced, how does that normally work?
Okay, first of all, Pauline, it's not all marriages that move through those.
Oh yes, of course, yes, absolutely, yes.
So there are various kinds of marriages. There's a customary marriage, which many people are in. There is the Christian marriage, where you go to church. There's the Hindu, the Muslim. And then initially, before 2017, there was the presumption of marriage, where you have stayed with someone for a certain period of time, you have children with this person, they've never paid your dowry, they've never come to see your parents, but you're married. The law presumes that you're married.
Is that can we stay? Or which one is that one?
Yes, it's loosely termed as can we stay.
Okay.
But now it's a presumption of marriage. You invite the court to presume that you're married first, because you are conducting yourselves as if you're married, then for them to grant you the divorce. So in all these instances, many a times, when a marriage breaks down, it comes in 3 packages. It comes in the divorce petition, that is if you've been married for more than 3 years. Then it comes with a matrimonial properties case, where you decide how to split the property you accrued during your marriage. And then with a child custody case.
So there are 3 cases in one?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
In many instances, they come in 3 cases. Unless, by some stroke of luck, the parties are so amenable, they've agreed that, fine, we've divorced, but the children, you'll still have access to the children, you'll still do ABCD for the children. The property, it's true, you contributed this much to building this house, so we will sell the house, you will take your half, I'll take my half, or I'll buy you out. You can just agree. It's advisable if people agree on matrimonial property and record consent on children. It's better than when the court has to be firm with you that you should support your children, or you should split this property with your wife or with your husband in this percentage, 50-50, 30-70, whatever amount of contribution. So it comes in 3 packages. But the first and the most painful for most people, even for lawyers, is the divorce aspect, because it is a messy process. In Kenya, there are grounds that you have to prove. You have to prove cruelty. Like Joan's case, she has mentioned the assault. That can qualify to cruelty. Others, sometimes, cruelty doesn't have to be physical. It can be even psychological. Someone denies you salt in your food every time you're trying to eat. Someone denies you conjugal rights for a protracted period of time. That amounts to cruelty. They kick you out of your matrimonial bed, they embarrass you in front of the children. They never hit you, but they subject you to such bad treatment that you cannot continue in that marriage. It's psychological more than it's physical.
They work on you.
They work on you psychologically. Baka, you give up. You're like, it's enough for me. Then there is adultery. Adultery now is the most messy one, where someone leaves your matrimonial bed and goes elsewhere. In such an instance, you're supposed not to just imagine it. It has to be shown, because still the law seems to protect the institution of marriage. So you don't just suspect your partner is cheating and go seek a divorce. No, there has to be hard and fast evidence. Mostly it's, if there has been a child born, that's usually the easiest. Because it's proof that this person left your matrimonial bed. Then desertion. Someone can up and go for 3 years, for 7 years, for 10 years. You never know where this person is. You just go to court and say, we were married, he has never abused me, but he has been missing for the last so long. So I want to be declared as a divorced person, man or woman, so that I can go ahead and get married or whatever else. The reason why it's important to do all these things properly is because, especially when a marriage has children, they all affect the children one way or another. For instance, if you divorce, if you up and go with the children, and you want to travel out of the country, some countries will not allow you to leave until
the guy gives you consent.
Or the lady gives you consent if you're the guy. So in such an instance, it's better when you've worked out all these things in a regulated system, in a regulated court, with someone who's outside the emotion of the breakdown of the marriage. It takes a bit of time. The courts try to encourage you to go through mediation, to try and resolve these problems amicably. But when it comes to a place where now it's referred to as an irretrievable breakdown of the marriage, like there is nothing that can save that marriage anymore. At that point, the court will grant you a divorce.
Okay. Can I interrupt you? You seem to become very emotional. What happened as we were listening to her? As we were listening to her, you became a bit emotional. What happened, Joan?
Not that I just imagined working, and then by the end of it, you end up having nothing.
Yeah.
It is not easy. It is not easy, especially after working for so many years.
11 years.
Yes, 11 years, trying to gather everything together, and then later on, you remain as if there is nothing now that you have.
And your ID card.
Yes, you and your ID card. And you are starting life with your children with nothing. It is very painful.
Okay. I'll come back to you, Jackie. All that emotion is packaged in a sentence. It is not easy. You know, Africans, we have, I think the English language doesn't have vocabulary to describe some of the things we go through. She says it is not easy. What happens when a marriage breaks down, Lily, to a person, especially the person who feels they have to leave?
Basically, what I can say for breakage of marriage is just like being a widow. Is because you go out for trauma, there's depression, there's anger, there's so many things that pass through your mind. That's why you had her saying that she still remembers her 11 years, means she's not gone through this. She's still hurting and feeling wasted, and like, you know, at some extent, maybe she's not saying, but she can have that feeling of revenge because she feels wasted, starting from scratches, and something needs to be done about it. And me, what I can say, it's counseling. She needs proper talking to come out of it, because it's a decision she made on her own. Nobody told her to make this decision. She said, I woke up one morning, I decided enough is enough. Basically, what am I saying? I'm saying about separation, divorce. For me, actually, I'm not for it, because, you know, there are some things that come with this package. Remember, there's children, there's society, there's family, and so much. And that is what she's going through right now. She's still stressed. What are people thinking about me? My children are undergoing this. And even the children drop from school. So it's something that is collective for the society, the family, and even the pastors.
Yeah.
It saddens me when she says that she was outcasted even in the church. And that is why you feel you can run to. So basically she needs somebody to talk to. Because you see her even now, when she's talking, she's having those catatonic behaviors.
Yes.
Like,
I noticed.
You know?
I noticed when Jackie was speaking.
Yeah.
She almost began crying.
It
I
was
don't
a
know. I
trigger.
don't know what happened. She started thinking. I think she started thinking about the marriage again.
Yeah.
She started thinking about what she went through. I think we have traumatized her by the
Yeah.
way, because she started going backward and she started thinking all these things. And I noticed I saw a tear coming out of her eyes. So this thing is real loss.
It's really loss. It's like you're going under trauma, loss, and grief. Like a person who's lost a person. Somebody is dead in your life. I'm not going to see this person. It's a new life. People, society, children. You know, you break down.
But
a
isn't,
trauma.
this is even more painful than death, because I realize widows and widowers, we are kinder to them. It seems, I normally say this, there is in singlehood, there is the lowest breed of people are really divorced people. You are at the bottom of the tier. Then maybe single mothers are a bit better. Then maybe, you know, there are tiers, but the lowest tier is the person who is divorced or separated. People actually have no time for you. And as she said, the first thing that married people do is they withdraw. They treat you like you are a second-class citizen. The churches treat you like you're a second-class citizen. I tell you, when you go home with your family, and wanasimamisha mafamilia, as I normally say, the family of so-and-so, then Joan shows up with her 3 children, anasimama, what do people say?
Exactly. But
Isn't
there,
it?
to some extent, I differ with you. Because even when you are widowed, you know, for a woman, when you are not with that man, you are always the blame game. Because even if your husband dies from accident, huyu mama ndiye alimuua. So the stigma is the same. Even the same people will not want to work with you because it's like you're going to snatch the husband.
Yes,
The issue is you're still single.
Very
You see that kind of pattern? The stigma is still the same. Even what your children goes through is the same. So all these people need that, you know, that counseling, that somebody to talk to, that shoulder to lean on. So basically it's not different. Because you go under depression, there's trauma, there's the social step tag, there's the financial part of it, there's everything about it is the same as that one because it's losing. This is about loss and grief. You are grieving, you've lost somebody, your financial status has gone poop, your children different life, no 2 parents. This is the same as widowhood. So it's something that basically, what am I saying? I'm saying it is something that somebody should be seen through, regardless of the situation. You see, in her case, she tried to be so stingy on the information to people because she was a pastor's wife per se.
Exactly. This is even worse for her.
Yeah.
She was a pastor's wife.
Yeah. So the beatings and everything, you swallow. When it was too much, when herself, I'm dying in this relationship, I'm going out. But you see, people blame her because who builds a home?
The woman.
You see?
Well, the woman is supposed to build the
Exactly.
home. I'm not sure what the
So
name
about
is.
loss, grief, anxiety, it's a cut-off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joan,
Yes.
before we talk to Jackie,
Yes.
tell me something. As you listen now, did you feel the sense of loss? Like you had completely lost, that you had, it was almost like as if you were grieving.
Yes.
Do you feel you've overcome that grief up to now?
Yeah, right now I have overcome the grief. But during those days, there are times I spent sleepless nights, crying alone in bed. You see, you can't visit anybody, you can't talk to anybody. Everyone that you talk, they tell you it's your fault. And it was so painful. But right now, after some counseling, talking to some of the people who are willing that I may talk to, it has really helped me. And also I give credit to my spiritual father, spiritual father and my spiritual mother. They have always been there. They are the only people who took me closer in a society that I was once rejected, where I didn't have a friend. They became friends, they became parents, they became encouragers, and that's why I am standing strong right now.
Jacqueline, we are back to you. Her case is really peculiar. She found out she wasn't even married. It's a double blow. Eh? Think about it. She got married in church to a pastor. And then she found out she wasn't even married. What can we do? What can Joan do?
Well, the first thing is, was this pastor, first of all, licensed to conduct this marriage? Because if he wasn't, you need to find out from that pastor what happened, what went wrong. I came here, I had my 2 witnesses, I signed a document after putting up bans for 3 weeks. And I said I do. And I got a ring on my finger and I went home with my husband. So why is it that my documents are not at Sharia house to show that I am married? Now, once that story comes out, what we need to do, because 11 years is not a short time.
Yeah.
The amount of property you have amassed in 11 years is not little. These children need support from that property to continue their education. when you are investing in those 11 years, you are not planning to restart after 11 years. You are planning to continue after 11 years. So when all this comes, the reason why you need to have your marriage considered as if it had happened through presumption or locating those documents is so that you can be able to go for matrimonial property. Because the matrimonial property, as you were saying, you had to restart, you had to buy new cars, you had to get a new house, take the children to school. First of all, the father of these children needs to be involved in the lives of these children. But regardless, you also need to have access to the property that you amassed when you were in that marriage during those 11 years. You had witnesses to that marriage. You had the best couple who
She
from
said
my
she
understanding.
left everything. Remember, she walked up and she left everything. She walked out with an ID.
Yeah.
So she has nothing. She does not have wedding pictures, which I'm sure the gentleman does not care for. She does not have even the notification that we
Yes,
used
I
to
don't
have.
have.
She has nothing. So what can she do? I mean, she's really, at the end of the day, I think Joan I think she's not just divorced. She was conned because she was never married.
Well, if we want to consider a Christian marriage, we might have a hard time proving it because whoever was supposed to forward those documents unfortunately did not.
Yes.
And they should be held to account for that. However, she was married. 11 years, you've been separated for 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
So 5 years ago, we still had cohabitation, come we stay, being recognizable in court and considering parties to come we stay as husband and wife.
So she has a case.
You have a case.
If she's robust enough and she wants to pursue
If you
the
want
case.
to pursue the case, some people say, it was a headache, it is done, let me just move on, let me just get on with my life. But if you want to pursue it, all is not lost. It is possible to go and get what you're entitled to from that marriage. It is also something that probably you should consider, having the father of these children participate in their payment of their school fees and feeding and rent and all that, because a child is made of two parents. For as long as both parents are alive, there is nothing that should keep one parent away from the responsibilities that accrue to this child, or the child away from the parent. No parent can decide, I don't want to see this child anymore. You have to continue being responsible for this child until they become adults. Then now you can decide, I've taken care of you enough, you can start taking care of yourself. But before they finish their education, as a parent, both parents, you need to be involved in that life. So the first thing I would do, because for that one, for custody, you don't need to prove that you are married
Oh, yes.
for the child to get
The right
maintenance
support.
from the father.
Oh, yes.
The first thing you should do is probably request the father to pay school fees or assist with rent or assist with feeding the children within an amount that he can contribute every month. You can do that through the children's office. You can do that through the court process. Whichever way you choose, you need to have this person assist you in bringing up the children, because the principle is that when you divorce, you've not divorced the children. Both of you are tied to these children. You might not be together, but the children still need both of you to take care of them and to be responsible for them. So it's not fair even on the children themselves for them to only be supported by only one parent when the other parent is alive, and especially if they knew their father. So you can imagine even their psychological state. I wouldn't be in a position to speak about it, but I'd
In
imagine
fact, that's what I
difficult.
wanted her to
Yes.
speak about.
Yeah.
When divorce happens, I've seen when people divorce, they seem to be in a moment of temporary insanity because everybody's shouting, everybody's killing each other. But I've noticed that the children are just forgotten. In that moment of temporary insanity, nobody remembers the children. And Joan testified, her
Yes.
daughter's grades dropped. Children really get hurt. How do children do when these kind of things, even separations, when,
First of all, I want to say, if it has happened, it has happened. About divorce, if you could go through the processes and get your issues, you can get the things you require, the education for the kids, the money and the property, and then what next for the children. You know, people don't look at it at that level. Yes, you can get a whole plot, money, good mansionette, and the education for the children. But you don't know the children are going through so much. You see, psychologically, even this girl might even decide in future she will not get married.
Yes, she said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The boy will look at men differently. The kids become harsh, angered, and rebellious. Conflicts, even with their peers. They don't augur well. That is why you had Joan saying that I had to change school. Because you don't know the kind of talk that was going around in school. You know, now they are not living with their parents. The kid grows with that anger. And remember, this is a kid that is going into the society. So these kids are supposed to be seen through. Even if you attest, Joan will attest to you that the girl is that person who has some bitterness, anger, relationship with their peers becomes hard, the grades in school drop down, they become withdrawn. Remember, these are kids that are growing up, they're going to live in the society, they're going to mix up with people, and they're going to create a problem up there. Do you know the repercussion of childhood experiences? They come out when maybe she's in that age of marriage and look at a man like, this is a person who's going to beat me the way my mother was beaten. I'm not supposed to marry, because when men marry, they beat their wives. So these kids, people live in neglect. You know, when somebody is going over loss and grief, you see she was talking about the pastors coming to her, talking to her, giving her food and everything. Did you hear the children featuring anywhere?
I didn't hear that.
People don't think about them, and they are the worst people who suffer than even the parents. You know, the mother said actually that she can marry again.
Yeah.
When she marries, remember these children know their parents.
They know their father.
And remember another
Now
thing.
she has introduced a stepfather.
Do you know what goes around these kids? These are the kids that when they grow up and marry and you do something bad, they stab you and you die. They need to be seen through. You know, a child counselor, you will know the mind of the child. You'll know what they are going through, how to see them through, and just find themselves normal like everybody else. Because the thing that is growing in the mind of these kids, my friend, you don't know. Even as we are talking here, nobody's talking about the children. It's about the property and the education they're being given. What is going on around the kids' mind? The bad things are going in their minds. They need help. If anything, the children need more help than even the mother. Because she can even think in terms of getting married. And this is another father again. And a step for that matter. What are they thinking? Sense of not belonging. They become something else in the world. These are the people even get, by the slightest provocation, they can kill you. Because after all, I'm hopeless, I'm useless, I don't have a sense of belonging. What am I living for? So something about the kids should be done. It's not about property alone. Separation of property, going to school. What about the children's mind? What are they going through? Nobody talks about it. And I heard Joan when she was talking about thinking about getting married.
Actually, Joan has moved on quite well.
Yeah.
And she's even ready to start a new life.
And the children. What about the children? Nobody talks about them.
Jackie, do you have a parting shot?
It is absolutely important for you to remember that in this whole issue of separating, it's just a separation of mind. But as Lily is saying, actually, when you're in court, no one cares whether you are angry, whether you are assaulted.
Yeah,
no.
the
what
court,
they look at is the best interest of the child.
Okay.
And that is why you cannot decide, my husband was violent to me, therefore you're not going to see the children. Unfortunately, for you, obviously, I can imagine how painful it is for the person, but they should. That's why I am encouraging you at this point.
Yes.
Have him either voluntarily or compelled to be in the lives of these children. They might refuse at first, but with time, because as the children are growing, they're also noticing things, and it's important for them to have both people in their lives. I wouldn't say a complete family setup, because these days it's very hard to define what that is, but to have both their father and their mother, not a father figure and a mother figure. If both parents are alive, let both of them be in the lives of these children. And it's possible for you to get help from any of the women's institution organizations, FIDA, any of the children's institutions. You can go to NALEP, you can go to Cradle, you can go to Kituo cha Sheria, and just express. The decision to live is good for you, but maybe the children might not understand it's good for you.
Yes.
So they need someone to explain to them that your mother leaving is not an indication that you are hated.
Oh, yes.
no, it's an indication that she needed to leave. You can still have a relationship with your father to the exclusion of him and your mother being together.
Okay.
So please follow that up and have the children's issues tidied up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jackie is always for tidying up things, and Lily is always that people must be, we must remember the children. We must remember. Thank you, ladies. We've gone way over time, but thank you so much. This is such an emotive issue. I have no idea if we'll ever come back, but if we do, I promise you that you will be back here to discuss this subject. And as for you ladies at home, I think for me the learning is look before you leap.
Oh, yes.
Marriage is not to be joked with. Ending it is much harder than jumping into it. So have a great week. Baraka.